Hello, indie authors. It is episode 11 and it is May 15th, 2019 as I record this. Today I'm talking about pre-orders, but first I'll do a little personal update, and I promise this episode will be short because I think that's important, and I've been totally lax in watching the clock as I do these little episodes. So my personal update is I have written another 3 sections in the nitty-gritty of self-publishing manuscript. So that's moving along at a steady clip. I'm doing this time audit for myself for a week. I just started it today. So I'm hoping that by next podcast I'll be able to report where I spend all my time. And I'm doing it so that I can, reevaluate where I want to spend my time. So before I can do that, I need to look and see where I'm wasting it. I've been doing quite a lot of Willamette Writers work this last week as I am reintroduced to the organization and discovered, what's changed since I've been gone, and also helping out the current co-chair person was feeling a bit swamped, and I was able to take some work off her plate. So I'm doing that this week. Over the weekend, we had Mother's Day here in the United States. So I called all my moms, talked to them on the phone for a little bit, and I did a lot of yard work, mostly weeding. There's this spot in our backyard that is up a couple steps, and so it's like a terraced area, and it's quite, it's quite square and large, and there's enough room for a little bistro table up there, and a little path, and some containers of flowers, and so that is what I am aiming to do with that space. So I spent about 3 hours weeding on Sunday, much to my back and hips. They didn't like that so much. So I was in a little bit of pain afterwards, and up until today, actually quite stiff and sore from all the weeding, but I'm hoping to reclaim that space. It was all covered over in ivy vines and shiny geranium, and it was pretty much a mess. And it was so overgrown that when I started cutting back the ivy all the way back to the retaining wall, I discovered that there was a bunch of building material trash that the previous owner of the home left there, like bricks and tiles and stuff like that. So I pulled a bunch of trash out of this area that I didn't even know had it. So that's going to give us more building material, I guess, to make our little patio with all the bricks. And I just did a lot of backlog work this last week, and caught up on some areas that had previously felt like I was falling behind in, so that felt good. And I ordered some print copies of my books for some summer events that are coming up in the next couple of months. Okay, there are no new patrons this week, but this is a perfect time to remind you that if you want to be a patron of the arts, you can support me and other artists and musicians on patreon.com. The support of my patrons on Patreon helps make this show and other projects possible. Plus, being a patron of the arts is a totally cool thing to do. Joining my Patreon community also gets you sneak peeks into my creative world through those monthly connection videos that I put out on the first Monday of the month, and rewards you with exclusive bonus content you can't get anywhere else. For less than a cost of a tasty hot beverage or a pack of gum, for as little as $1 a month, you too can become a patron of the arts and me. Find me at patreon.com/Valerie Ihsan, IHSAN. Resources and reviews. This will become apparent in the main topic section of the podcast, but I want to recommend Mark Dawson's Self-Publishing 101 course, and he opens up registration for that once a year, maybe twice. I can't remember now, but at least once a year he does it. So the enrollment is not open currently, May 2019, but you can go to selfpublishingformula.com and you can put yourself on the waiting list for the course, and then you'll get notifications when registration opens up, and you'll learn more information about the course itself. I really liked it. I took it several years ago, and I go back through and I re-look at the modules, and they've got a really great tech library. So if you want to learn how to do something in MailChimp or do something in ConvertKit, or how to build a website, or all of the like technical behind the scenes, how do you make this happen thing, that tech library is really great. And they have VIP bonuses, and the modules themselves are very thorough, and it's the basics, but I like going back to the basics periodically and just making sure that I'm doing everything that I can be doing right now and tweaking things to make them more optimal. And he also is more famous for his Ads for Authors course, which I have not taken, but again, I really like this Self-Publishing 101. Okay, and the other thing I wanted to recommend is a podcast I'm listening to that is really great for educating yourself on business, especially if I know we're all running our author businesses, and if you are doing something besides writing and selling books to diversify your author income, which you should be doing in 2019. For instance, if you're doing editing or coaching or something like that, or putting on some kind of author service, then utilizing the education through Uncomplicate Your Business podcast. Rachel Cook, she has an MBA, and I just really like the way she presents things. She often has free challenges, and her podcast is also a video series, and they're all very well done, and there's a lot of free content that she puts out in addition to that, like in workbooks or worksheets that you can download and print out. And I'm really liking the way she inspires me and teaches me a little bit more about business. So the Uncomplicate Your Business podcast is catered towards people that do heart-centered services, provide those services, whether you're, a life coach or a yoga teacher or, whatever. And it works for lots of things, but I'm liking that. So if you do any author-related services and want some insight on business, or if your day job centers on those services that you provide, then it might be a good resource for you. So check out Uncomplicate Your Business with Rachel Cook. I'm still reading the Become a Successful Indie Author, just finishing up with that, and I'm also almost done with Newsletter Ninja. I read multiple books at the same time, which is why I don't get through books as quickly as someone else, because I'm reading 3 or 4 at the same time. So almost done with Newsletter Ninja by Tammy Labrecque, and I think I decided I'm going to have so many in my to-be-read pile, but I think the next nonfiction book I'm going to read is Wired for Joy. I didn't look to see who the author was before I jumped on here, but it was recommended to me by Becca Syme. When I did my one-on-one coaching with her, she said for me to read Wired for Joy, because one of my strengths is positivity. I like being positive. I like looking at the positive sides of things. And so I'm hoping that Wired for Joy will help me learn how to use my positivity in my business and in this podcast. So that's exciting. I'm listening to a brand new it's not a new podcast, but I just listened to the first episode today. I'm still not even all the way through it, but it's called The Dream. And this is nothing to do with business at all. It's actually the whole first season of The Dream is like reporting on pyramid schemes, which is not something that I would have chosen to listen to by any stretch of the imagination, but I've heard it kind of in the podcast ether, and Rachel Herron recommended it with glowing review, and I've heard it recommended a couple of times, so I thought I would give it a try today, and it's pretty interesting. Again, I'm just in the first episode, but I'm already like, ooh, I can see myself binging this particular podcast. So if you want something, it's still nonfiction. It's kind of like a documentary style podcast. Then check out The Dream. And again, Rachel Herron is the one who recommended it, and she does the How Do You Write podcast and the Writer's Well podcast with Jay Thorne. So those are great podcasts as well if you're looking for new podcasts. Okay, on to the main topic, pre-orders. So I brought up Mark Dawson's course before because I wanted to say that when I was going over my notes and what I knew about pre-orders, I went back to the course and looked up the module on launches, book launches, and found this spot in there that they talked about pre-orders just to kind of refresh my mind. And I personally have not done any pre-orders for any of my books yet because, I'm not that organized yet, I guess. I never seem to be ready for setting up a pre-order. But here's what you need to know about pre-orders, whether or not you want to do one or not. Hopefully you will have some information now, and you will be able to make that decision for yourself for your upcoming book publication. But here's what I know about pre-orders. All the platforms allow them, so you can set up a pre-order. And the way it works is you set up a sales page in advance of the book publication. So the sales page will be on the platform. Like on the Kobo store, there will be a sales page with your book description and your cover if you have it, and the information about it and the price. And so there will be instead of a buy button, there'll be a pre-order button. So you can send people to that place to pre-order it if you know about it. And you can do it, most of these places, you can do them up to a year in advance. So if you are writing a series, or if you've got a production schedule set up and you want to publish this particular book, in this month of the next year, you can actually set it up, and that could be like if you work well under deadlines, then that could be an incentive for you to hurry up and get things done. Some people do not work well under fire, and this would not be a good idea for you if you don't like working to deadline then. So allow your strengths and know your weaknesses, and if this is a weakness for you, then don't consider pre-orders. But I just wanted to let you know about them. So when someone clicks on the pre-order button, they aren't charged the money for the book until the book is available, and then the book is automatically sent to the customer. And setting up pre-orders is effective to build hype, and get people excited about the next book. And also, it's great for capturing the reader's attention. Say you've got a series and they finish reading one book and they're super excited about it, and they turn the last page of the book, and behold, there is a little sample for the next book and the pre-order link, so they can finish book 2 in the series and think, wow, that was amazing. When's the next book coming out? And I don't know. And there's the date, and they can actually order it right then and there. So you can capture that rise of enthusiasm, at its peak there, and get them to buy the book, pre-buy the book before they forget about you, or before they even read the next book. So it is effective. It's effective on most stores. Let me amend that. So when you purchase, I don't want to say purchase, that's the wrong. When you pre-order a book, the author gets counted. How do I say this? Most stores credit the pre-order on the day of release. So they kind of like, they build up so that when the book launches, all of these pre-orders flood in and you get a spike of sales, and it looks really good, on your sales page. And the stores are all excited about it, and ooh, this book is getting a lot of attention today, so let's, put some more attention on it and feature it in all these other lists. So that's great, but Amazon doesn't do it that way. So it's effective on all the platforms, but not Amazon. And the reason why is because Amazon doesn't save up those orders to launch day. They count them as they come in. So if you get if you have your pre-order set up for 10 months out, and you tell some people, okay, the pre-order link's up, and they go over there, and maybe 3 people get buy the pre-order this month, and next month a couple more people, and then as you get closer, you get more and more people pre-ordering the book, but they just sort of trickle in, and Amazon will not take notice of a few orders trickling in. And it might even count negatively towards you, because not only do they count it as a sale at the point in time that it's received, and the sales during the pre-launch don't count when the book goes live. So it's kind of a double hit. So not only do you get marginal, the way Amazon is seeing it anyway, is you're getting this marginal attention on the book, and then when it goes live, still, even though you have all these people that are waiting for it, Amazon doesn't recognize them as these people waiting in line for your book because it's so good, because they're not counting the pre-orders as sales on that day. So I went back to Mark Dawson's course, and I copied this quote out of the module on pre-orders. He says, on the other platforms, you are credited with a sales rank at the time of the order, but the orders are also counted on the day of launch. So you get a double benefit. So you get sales rank as your you're counted as this. It's basically getting counted twice. So you're only paid on it once, but you're getting counted for that sale twice, if that makes any sense. Let me see if I can restate that in a clear way. So let's say I have a book set up in Kobo, a pre-order. Let's say I have a follow-up to my my Pacific Northwest novel. My first novel, The Scent of Apple Tea, took place in Veneta, and my next novel that I'm writing takes place in Astoria. So I haven't finished writing that manuscript, but let's say I set up a pre-order for it to kind of get myself going and make myself work on it a little bit more. So I can get a cover made for it. I can put the cover up there and set the whole pre-order sales page up. And I tell people, okay, the next book's coming. You can pre-order it here, and send them an affiliate link to go to that store and buy, in inverted commas, the pre-ordered book. So when they do that, let's say you think, ooh, cool, I'm going to go to Kobo and buy this book. Excuse me. Your pre-order will count at the time that you pre-order it. So I'll get a little brownie point over here, a sales rank. Ooh, somebody appreciated this book and they're counting it as, so my sales rank is increasing as I get these pre-orders. And then on top of that, when my book goes live, all of these pre-orders that have been adding up already, say 100 people have pre-ordered the book. So I've got 100 sales. How do I say that? I have 100 people waiting in line to buy this book. That's what Kobo sees. So I've got 100 brownie points. And then when it launches, I now have 100 sales. So that counts as 200, if that makes any sense. I'm only paid on 100, but I've got 200 brownie points to knock my sales ranking higher for that book in Kobo. But for Amazon, it wouldn't work that way. If I set up a pre-order now for this novel that I haven't even finished writing yet, then if someone went and pre-ordered the book, Amazon would count that as a sale right then. I wouldn't get paid for it, but it would be counted as a sale. And then on launch day, that money would be taken out of the customer's account and put into mine. I would get a royalty on that launch day for that sale, but it's only counted once, and it wasn't even counted on launch day. It was counted way back before. So Amazon is not a good idea for pre-orders, but all the rest of them are great. I know some authors use Amazon for pre-orders just the same. They're totally fine with it. I think probably a good way to do it if you want to be on Amazon for a pre-order. For instance, maybe you do KDP Select and you just know that's all you want to be publishing on is Amazon. So go ahead and set up a pre-order on Amazon, but do it really close to launch day, like a month out or something like that, or even a week out or 2 weeks out of launch date. So yeah, that's what I have on pre-orders. So they work, they're awesome, but not so much for Amazon. So put up those pre-orders the other places if you do well with deadlines, if that helps you do your work and get more work done and reach your goals faster by having an external deadline for yourself, like a pre-order, then go ahead and do it. I guess I should say that every store is going to be a little bit different, but I know, like for Amazon in particular, if you miss your deadline and you don't have a file to upload by launch day, the day you said it was going to be ready, then Amazon will actually penalize you, and you will not be allowed to set up any pre-orders on Amazon for a whole year before they let you set up a pre-order again. So only set up a pre-order if you know you can make that deadline. And if you are watching on the video, you'll see my little dude just sat up from my lap. He was sleeping. And his little nose showed up at the bottom of the video screen. So I had to call attention to it in case people were watching the video thinking, what was that? So I had to bring him up a little higher. Okay, thank you so much for listening. And I will see you next week when I will tell you about my time audit and where I have wasted my time and where the rest of it has been hiding. So be well, keep writing, and keep publishing.